Hi guys, and welcome to another SoccerScanner video. Today's video, what we're going to try and do is place a couple of bets to win you your £10 a month membership. Okay, so £10 a month isn't very much, and hopefully we can spot some opportunities on a Saturday afternoon where we can make that money for you. So starting off looking at the Premier League, Manchester City look to be well on top in this game, and we can see they've had 2 shots in the last 10 minutes, so there's definitely a chance of a goal coming in that game. I'm a big fan of betting on goals rather than on teams, but in this situation, I think I would probably back Manchester City to win that game. And their odds on Betfair 1.69, not too bad. So nothing else really jumping out at me on there. Let's have a look at the Championship. Sheffield United seem to be doing quite well against Watford. Would have some good odds on there as well. But in the last 10 minutes, just after half time, not really much has happened on that game. Okay, West Brom. No, nothing really there. Let's have a look at the Germans. Okay, so these are a really interesting game, and this is one that these are the type of things I like to bet on. So we've got Heidelberg who are at home, who are absolutely dominating this, and look at that, they've had 3 shots in the last 10 minutes. Werder Bremen have had one. Okay, that's a definite candidate for me. Now, there's a couple of things we can do in this situation. We could bet over 2.5 goals. So let's first of all let's just click on here. So we now have one click to Betfair. So we'll click on the Betfair odds, and it'll open up. Okay, so we could lay Werder Bremen, but if they were to score again, that's going to ruin that. We could bet over 3.5 goals. Odds are okay. But what I like to do in these situations, and this is my preference, and you can see I've been on here already, is I'm going to lay the current score. Okay, at 1.8, I'm going to lay that for £8. Okay, and what that's going to do is I already had £3 on there anyway. It's going to give me £11 profit. Okay, and because the odds are so low, and the beauty with this strategy is it doesn't matter who scores, as long as one of those teams scores and we don't finish 2-1, we're going to win that bet. Okay, and if you were to put a little bit more on there, that would win you back your SoccerScanners subscription. So let's place that bet. Okay, bet unmatched. We'll just wait for that to be matched. It should be matched any second. You can see what's happened there is a gap in the market. It's jumped from 1.8 to 1.86 on the lay market because nobody's laying it. So it is. We have 10 minutes left in this game to get a goal, and it looks to me like the home team are pushing. It looks to me like, so we'll just let that carry on in the background. The home team are really pushing, and the away team are obviously on the break. You can see from the AP1 and AP2 graphs that look at the pressure on there from for me, this is a game where we've got a goal coming. Okay, so it's a really good candidate. Let's just have a look down, see if we can find anything else. What we'll get is we will get a goal noise if a goal goes in either of those two games that we've selected. Colchester totally dominating this game, but obviously they're 3-1 up. And there's another candidate, okay, Grimsby v Gillingham. So you can see here we've got really, really high attacking pressure 1, attacking pressure 2, 70% possession, 2 shots in the last 20 minutes, and has had a red card. So the problem with the red card is obviously it brings these odds down. So Grimsby, for example, odds of 1.86, but they look like they're really pushing and their goal's going to come on there. So again, let's click on there, one click to Betfair, and unfortunately, it looks like we've had a goal in that game. So we've just missed out on that game. No, it's come back to life. So we have a couple of odds. We could back Grimsby at 1.89. We could back over 0.5 goals probably isn't going to give us any value. 1.39, no. So we could also have a look at correct score, see whether we can do anything on there. Okay, correct score. So we could lay 0-0, and again, if you were to put, what will we put on there? If we were to put £8 on there, we would have quite high liability, but there is a good chance that a goal is coming. I think in this particular situation, my preference would be to back Grimsby. They're 1.88. We've still got a very long time to go in this game, so my preference would be to back them and then see whether that comes in. So you can see just by looking at the scanner, we're not done any research here. We're just working on the fly, looking down. We're looking for these highlighted games, okay, where the stats are double the opposition. That's what we're looking for. Fact that this one's got a red card. Yes, there's a chance that Gillingham are going to put 10 men behind the ball and frustrate Grimsby. The fact that they're getting shots on target means that actually they're getting through, and that XG is getting up there as well. So there's a couple of options that we could have backed there. Let's have a look. Okay. And as I scroll down, so what I'm looking for when I'm scrolling down is a line, a coloured line that shows me a team is really on top. Okay, now we're getting down into the National League, and I don't like to bat on the National League. Let's have a look in Scotland. So Hibernian are dominating that game, and look at the difference in their XG, for example, but they're already 1-0 up. Okay, St Mirren Aberdeen doesn't look to be particularly exciting, does it? Right, 2 shots on target, one in the 15th minute, one on the 27th. Very low XG. Nothing happening on there. We're going to leave that one. Okay, League One. Stockport well on top. Okay, so we've picked a couple of games there. So what we can do is we can do my selected games. Those are the 3 games that we're going to look at. Okay, so what we would have picked here, and you saw we've obviously laid the Bremen game. We've laid the current score, which will give us a nice profit if it comes in. We would back Manchester City, although the odds are 1.66, and we would back Grimsby. Okay, so they were just picks in a couple of minutes that I selected just by looking at the scanner. And again, you can look at the domination on each one of those games. You can see that those three teams that we've picked are really, really pushing for a goal. So let's pause the video and then we'll come back when we get a goal. Right, so we're back again. We literally left that a couple of minutes. We're now on 83 minutes, and you can see a home team, as we predicted, have equalised, and that was the one where we laid the correct score. So obviously, I had £3 on here already, but now we've got, no matter what the outcome, we've got £11 profit locked in. Really not sure why the cash out is less than that. Nobody in their right mind is going to cash out for less than that. But we've just made £11 in literally a couple of minutes by using the scanner on a Saturday afternoon. Okay, so use it sensibly. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on these other 2 games and see how they go. Obviously, we're looking for a goal from Manchester City. We're looking for a goal for Grimsby. I didn't back either of those, but out of interest, let's see what happens in those 2 games. But for me, that was it was there was definitely something coming. You can see the amount of shots on target, and obviously we saw activity in the last 10 minutes. So it was all good signs that it was coming. You could see from the graphs everything was pointing towards there being a goal, and there might well be another goal in that game. I'm not going to. 84 minutes now. I'm quite happy with the profit that I've got. That profit would pay for my SoccerScanner membership for a month, and that was the main aim of today. So let's put it back on pause. Let's see what happens in these other 2 games, and I'll keep an eye on this game as well, and we'll see how this one plays out. Okay, so literally after I paused it for a minute, Grimsby went and scored. So again, the stats were there. We could see that they were dominating on all these statistics. We could see there was activity in the last 10 minutes. Yes, there was a red card. Yes, the odds weren't great, but we could see there was a goal coming in that game, and we could have taken action on that. So we picked 3 games, right? And as I talk, Manchester City score. So there you go. I picked 3 games. I predicted that in the Heidelberg game there'll be another goal. I didn't care which way it went because I laid the score. I predicted in the City game that Man City would score, and I predicted in the Grimsby game that Grimsby would score. So it's not always that easy, but to make the £10 back per month, I've spent 10 minutes on a Saturday afternoon and more than made that money back. And had I backed those other 2 games, I could have done something on them. I would have to think about what I did on them in terms of making money and betting. I don't like to bet on anything less than evens, but in both of those games, what the stats predicted came true. Okay, I hope that was really useful for you and a good introduction into what you can do and how you can use the scanner. Thank you very much for watching.